Hello guys, it's Chomps returning another Bakugan Armors review. The last one. So, we now have Yasha Tagaras. This is by far the most powerful armor Bakugan. Well, maybe not by far, but definitely is the most powerful. Been waiting to talk about this one ever since I started these reviews. So anyway, opening it up, opens up like this. It does have some manual parts. Actually, the most of any armor Bakugan have these soul pieces here. They open up, and then you also have on the wings here these parts you can bring out, and then also these parts up here flip up like that. Then on the other side, same thing. So here is Yasha Tagaras all opened up. Move that back a little bit so you can see the face a bit better, but anyway. Looks very cool. Definitely my favorite looking armor Bakugan. As far as appearances go, this is actually a 10 for me. 10 out of 10. This is actually my favorite armor Bakugan in appearance. I think it's the coolest one. I am a big fan of it. I like the color scheme of black, gold, and red a lot. This thing is just really cool. That said, how good is Yasha Tagaras? Well, this thing is not great physically. You do have 2 metal soul pieces, which is nice because they come like that, but aside from that, this thing, I mean, in terms of attack, it doesn't have any like genuine pop-out force. Like this isn't gonna do like anything. I mean, you have 2 metal parts, so it's like you can attack, but it's not good. And then also, I guess you could do like spin shots, but again, that's not really gonna help you too much. But it's an option, I guess. Aside from that, defensively, this thing, it's like okay. It's not good, but it's like compared to Armor Bakugan, it's like at least not the worst. It's not good either. Occupancy, well, not very good. It's again kind of just pretty standard either way you want to put it there. So physically, this thing, you don't get a lot out of it at all. It's not good physically. However, what score would I give it? 10 out of 10. This is one of the best Bakugan you can get within Bakugan Armors, BakuTech, whatever. It is the best Armors Bakugan, and yeah, no, it is insane. So while this thing can get crit KO'd, which is a bit of an issue, you mainly want to use this for G-Power battles. Try and find, instances where you get into G-Power battles, because this thing is an absolute menace. Because if you notice here, this thing has 770 Gs. There is a 710G variant, however, I rate these based on max potential. Max potential is 770, so 770 is the highest printed G-Power in Japan, like ever, for BakuTech and Bakugan Armors. This was it. This is number 1. And it's also darkest, which is good, but also its armor's ability is Free Select. Free Select allows you to choose an attribute bonus to gain. I don't just mean that you get to pick one, no. You get the first bonus, which is your attribute arm bonus, and then the second bonus you get to just choose. So you get 2 attribute bonuses, and this is a strict upgrade over ×2, plus wind, and plus light. Those you have to, well, plus wind and plus light, you have specific attributes that you get the bonus for. ×2 just multiplies your own by 2. This one, you could choose Ventus, you could choose Chaos, which, I mean, that's better than plus wind and plus light. You choose Darkest, so ×2 function right there, or you can just use, Pyrus, Aquas of Terror, it doesn't matter, you can choose anything you want. So this thing with 770 Gs is broken, like absolutely broken. This is the best G-Power battler in the game, and is nearly just an auto-win in G-Power battles. So you're probably wondering, okay, well that's an issue. How do you counter this thing? And yeah, there are counter strategies. Now, first up, on your own card, obviously you should have a card with pretty solid bonuses for yourself because that's how this thing works. So, assuming you set up your deck correctly like that, and also I'm bringing this based on like Gachi stuff because Gachi is like the better way to play BakuTech, and that's just how Bakugan Armors was kind of set up. So, you get ability cards. So as far as gate cards go, yeah, you should have good gate cards. And if you have a proper gate card setup, you chose gate cards with solid bonuses. This thing cannot lose. It just can't. You have the highest base G power of any Bakugan, and with a good bonus that you can get twice, this thing automatically wins any gate card. The only way this loses on your own gate card with a proper setup is if your opponent is basically just like having a mirror match with you. They have the same attribute or an attribute that gets an equivalent bonus, and then they have free select or again one of the other armor's abilities, but regardless, it leads to like a same amount of bonuses, and they also have 770G Tagaras. That's it. That's the only way they could do anything. And with that, they tie. That nothing else can be done. Obviously, if you don't have proper bonuses, yes, you can get beaten by things like Diacivic or State of Municus, but assuming you did set up your bonuses correctly for gate cards, you can't lose. Straight up. Now that said, on opponent's gate cards, you also basically just have an auto win. Because if you go into their gate cards, there are a few specific steps that we'll get to that you can use to beat this thing. But any normal Bakugan gets one bonus, so you have the highest G power in general for the entire game, and then darkest bonus doesn't matter because you just get to take their bonus and you win. So generally speaking, this thing just wins. Even if they have like an all 0G setup to where it's like, okay, you don't get any gate bonuses, well, who cares? 770 Gs, highest base G power in the game. Very few things that could do anything about that. So there are 4 specific steps that you could use to counter this thing. First up is basically a mirror match, or any kind of armor setup that gets an extra G power bonus, right? Or extra gate bonus, I mean. Whether it's plus win, plus light times 2, or free select, if that person hits on their attribute bonus and their skill arm bonus, and you only hit on your skill arm bonus, that could lead to them winning. So that's a strategy, an armor's counter right there. Okay, that works. Still, this thing would be highly preferable to anything else, but I guess if they're also using Yasha Tagaras, then they could set it up like that and have a different attribute than you do, and well, they could win like that. So that's one counter. Second counter is via Rekahiryu, or I guess just plus 100, but if you're running plus 100, likely with an all 0G gate card, then with that, doesn't matter what armors core they use, plus 100 will get them between 810 and 870, so they win there. Best to not use any gate bonuses though, because this thing can just steal 2, and well, plus 100 might not be great for that. You could still lose with that, so if it's all 0Gs with plus 100, that is the second counter to this thing. Third counter is Diacivic and Zeta Municus, basically kind of just the chance-based G power stuff. So Diacivic, regardless of if it's like a minimum of 580 or like the blue one at 700 Gs, with Savic it does add up to more than Yasha Tagaras, and you have to be careful with these two though, because, and also Zeta Municus, again, this one, it can be anywhere between 700 and 730 Gs, and with the Zeta Roulette, even with the Friendship Binds version, that's 730 Gs, the 40G boost only ties this thing, which is crazy. The only way you could win is if you had a 200G boost. So Diacivic, you have to get lucky with Savic, and also Zeta Municus, you have to get lucky with the 200G boost, or I guess 40Gs if you just want to tie and at least survive this thing. Basically, very careful with the gate card, because if this thing gets a bonus, it'll probably win. At least it has a good shot at it, because it gets 2. This thing is still be dangerous, because those 2 are Darkest Bakugan. This thing in base is Darkest, and if it gets a Darkest bonus twice and it's a high bonus, it still actually can overtake Zeta Municus with a 200G boost, or Diacivic with Savic, so that's a problem. So again, with those, best use an all 0G card. If you hit on those proper bonuses, you can, well, with Savic or these 200G Zeta Roulette bonus, you can win like that, but again, it's chance-based, it's very risky. So all three of these are very specific setups, and even then, this thing has a good shot at winning. It's very hard to counter, and if you don't have one of the setups, you kind of just lose. Now, there is a fourth way to beat this thing, and it's actually the best way to beat this thing, and also it could be applied to almost any Bakugan. And that is a low G setup. Yep, low G setups. St. Aquis, Trifalco, Twin Dobru, but I mean, that's not a great one, but one of those, or I guess Bone Skulls on its own gate card, any of those are typical low G power Bakugan. However, you could use like anything. You could just straight use like Ozpress. It's 710 Gs. I mean, you probably will win with that because this thing's 770. So even with like a high G Bakugan, it can still win because it'll have the lower G power, so you could still get it with using like top tier Bakugan and not have to worry about that because of how high this thing goes up with G power. So yeah, low G wins card is a great counter to this thing, but again, the fact that you have to construct your team in such a way that it's either hyper-specific G power setups that can counter this thing, or low G win stuff, that's it. The fact that most of this video is trying to talk about the very specific scenarios that you can counter this thing just shows just how ridiculous it is. Being able to choose the best bonus on the card tied with the highest base G power, and also the fact that you could just potentially get a second, G gate bonus with your attribute arm. It's insane. This thing, it's very hard to beat on an opponent's gate card, unless if they specifically are trying to counter something like this. And on your own gate card, as long as you set up your deck correctly, it's an auto win. Unless your opponent gets lucky, then it's a draw. But that's it, so yeah, Yasha Tagaras is absolutely broken. Like, there is very little you can do. And you could probably say I give it a 10, because yeah, it's not that physically, but the fact that this thing can just steamroll like almost anything in a G-Power battle, and on like a level playing field, it does steamroll anything, yeah, it's ridiculous. So yeah, that's about it for Yasha Tagaras. However, I do have a little bit more to say. This is my final Armors review, and really my final review in general, because last year I did say a Zeta Monicus review. That Zeta Monicus is my last review. However, I was going to do mini reviews of all the Armors Bakugan in my Bakugan Armors video from July, but I realized I'd make the video way too long, and so I opted to just do them separately. And with that, this is all I have. I could re-review more stuff, but the problem with that is I would probably end up re-reviewing everything before my initial re-reviews in 2022, and if I did that, I'd probably get to a point where I'm like, those early re-reviews weren't as good, and I want to re-review those. It'd just be a constant cycle of me re-reviewing stuff, so I'm just going to cut it off here. I think this is a good stopping point, so that's it for my Bakugan reviews. That said, I'm not going to be stopping Bakugan, or, well, BakuTech stuff. I actually have, next year, I actually have videos planned, at least one per month, so there's still plenty of BakuTech stuff from me coming. It's just that these reviews are done. I've reviewed literally everything I could possibly review without going back for like re-reviews, so yeah, that's basically it. So if anyone else has any BakuTech stuff, I would urge you to make some reviews, because I think getting multiple opinions on different Bakugan is always great, and as far as I'm aware, I'm the only English-speaking person to have reviewed like at least one of every Bakugan, so if anyone else has some BakuTech, even if it's just a few, or if you just have all of them, reviews would be great. I don't see people really making many reviews at all these days, so would be good. But yeah, as far as these reviews go, it's everything. It's been near 10 years, so yeah, that's it. So my job here is done. So anyways, that's all for this video, so thanks for watching, and bye-bye.